This is Land of Havilah, Exodus 38. In review of the big picture, there'll be an outer fence enclosing a rectangular area, 150 feet east to west and 75 feet north to south. The one gate will be on the east. The area inside the fence will be called the court. When a person enters the gate, he'll have the rising sun at his back. Looking ahead, he'll see the bronze altar for burnt offering, and past that, the bronze basin for ceremonial washing, and past that, the door of the tabernacle. The tabernacle will be a tent, but it'll have solid walls, 15 feet left to right and 45 feet long. Coming up, fabrication of the bronze altar. It'll be like a very large barbecue grill, 7.5 feet long and wide, and chest high. There was a brass horn like an animal horn at each top corner. The tips of the horns will be about face or chest level, maybe for hanging the carcasses while they skin them and cut them in pieces for the fire. Leviticus 1:6. The grating of the bronze altar will be about waist level, suspended by bronze rings at each corner. They'll have utensils for handling the meat, the blood, and the ashes, and for working with the fire, and for boiling the meat when the sacrifice calls for it. The altar will be wood planks overlaid with brass. It seems the heat of the fire would destroy the wood, so the brass was either for fireproofing or it might be just for a space saver on which to lay the brass, with the intention of the brass eventually being hollow. Verse 1, He made the altar of burnt offering of acacia wood. It was square. Its length was 5 cubits, and its width was 5 cubits, and its height was 3 cubits. He made its horns on its 4 corners. Its horns were of one piece with it, and he overlaid it with brass. He made all the vessels of the altar, the pots, the shovels, the basins, the forks, and the fire pans. He made all its vessels of brass. He made for the altar a grating of a network of brass under the ledge around it beneath, reaching halfway up. He cast 4 rings for the 4 ends of the brass grating to be places for the poles. He made the poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with brass. He put the poles into the rings on the sides of the altar with which to carry it. He made it hollow with planks. Comment: Of course, the altar would have to be hollow to accommodate the fire and the grating, but hollow might also refer to the expectation that the wood would only be there temporarily, leaving the brass hollow. Now, the making of the bronze basin. The priests will wash their hands and feet in the basin before going in the tent or coming near the bronze altar, that they not die. Exodus 30:20. Jesus said, quote, If I don't wash you, you have no part with me. John 13:8. Verse 8. He made the basin of brass and its base of brass out of the mirrors of the ministering women who ministered at the door of the tent of meeting. Comment: There's a fun Bible trivia question. Where did they get the brass to make the basin? Answer: from the mirrors of the women who ministered at the door of the tent. Mirrors at the time were metal polished until the surface was reflective. Thus the Apostle Paul said, We see in a mirror dimly, 1 Corinthians 13:12. And what was the ministry of the women? Probably anything that didn't require a priest or the strength of a man. Since there are no random facts in the Bible, we might contemplate why the basin was made of mirrors. A mirror is for examining oneself. If we examine ourselves, we feel the need to wash. Now for the making of the fence with the bronze posts set in bronze bases, stabilized at the top with cords. The cords led to pins that were driven in the ground. The posts supported linen fabric, which provided a visual barrier. The one gate was on the east end. Verse 9. He made the court. For the south side southward, the hangings of the court were of fine twined linen, 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, and their sockets 20, of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets were of silver. For the north side, 100 cubits, their pillars 20, and their sockets 20, of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. For the west side were hangings of 50 cubits, their pillars 10, and their sockets 10, the hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. For the east side eastward 50 cubits. The hangings for the one side were 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3, and so for the other side, on this hand and on that hand by the gate of the court, were hangings of 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. All the hangings around the court were of fine twined linen. The sockets for the pillars were of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets were of silver, and the overlaying of their capitals of silver, and all the pillars of the court were filleted with silver. The screen for the gate of the court was the work of the embroiderer, of blue, purple, scarlet, and fine twined linen. 20 cubits was the length, and the height in the width was 5 cubits, like to the hangings of the court. Their pillars were 4, and their sockets 4, of brass, their hooks of silver, and the overlaying of their capitals and their fillets of silver. All the pins of the tabernacle and around the court were of brass. Comment, there'll be a 7.5-foot post every 7.5 feet. Everywhere we read brass, it could also be translated bronze. The post had silver capitals, silver hooks for supporting the linen, and silver fillets, which could also be translated rings or bands. So it's unclear what the fillets were or what purpose they served. The gate was linen fabric supported by 4 posts and was remarkable for its width. The gate was 30 feet wide. The blue, purple, and scarlet linen of the gate stood out against the non-colored linen of the fence. Now for an accounting of the raw materials, verse 21. This is the amount of material used for the tabernacle, even the tabernacle of the testimony, as they were counted according to the commandment of Moses for the service of the Levites by the hand of Ithamar, the son of Aaron the priest. Comment, Aaron's youngest son Ithamar was the accountant for the project. Verse 22. Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur of the tribe of Judah, made all that Yahweh commanded Moses. With him was Aholiab, the son of Ahisamach of the tribe of Dan, an engraver and a skillful workman, and an embroiderer in blue, in purple, in scarlet, and in fine linen. All the gold that was used for the work and all the work of the sanctuary, even the gold of the offering, was 29 talents and 730 shekels after the shekel of the sanctuary. Comment, they put over $30 million worth of gold into the project at today's prices. The gold was in the indoor furniture, the vessels, the utensils, the plating of the wall boards, plating of the 4 pillars of the veil, and plating of the 5 pillars of the tabernacle door. Coming up, the silver they put in the project, which they obtained from the half-shekel sanctuary tax. Verse 25. The silver of those who were counted of the congregation was 100 talents and 1,775 shekels after the shekel of the sanctuary. A bekah a head, that is, half a shekel, after the shekel of the sanctuary, for everyone who passed over to those who were counted, from 20 years old and upward, for 603,550 men. The 100 talents of silver were for casting the sockets of the sanctuary and the sockets of the veil, 100 sockets for the 100 talents, a talent for a socket. Of the 1,775 shekels he made hooks for the pillars, overlaid their capitals, and made fillets for them. Comment, they used about 3 times more weight of silver than of gold. Most of the silver was for the sockets. The sockets were the foundation blocks for the boards. They called them sockets because they had holes that accepted the tenons of the boards. Each socket was a talent in weight, about 70 pounds, and there were 2 sockets per board, so each board was stabilized to the ground by about 150 pounds of silver. Verse 29. The brass of the offering was 70 talents and 2,400 shekels. With this he made the sockets to the door of the tent of meeting, the bronze altar, the bronze grating for it, all the vessels of the altar, the sockets around the court, the sockets of the gate of the court, all the pins of the tabernacle, and all the pins around the court. Comment, for the grand totals, gold was over 29 talents, silver over 100 talents, and bronze over 70 talents. So to make a wild estimation by today's money, the project was $50 to $100 million in material and labor. But if we wanted to duplicate it, we'd have to find another Bezalel and Aholiab filled with the Spirit of God to do it. Exodus 39 is next at landofhavilah.net, Exodus 39.